Welcome to another RuShare tutorial. This is part 2 of courses and classes, and in this one we're going to show you how to set up a class and how that connects to the course we set up in part 1. So we're going to go to class setup from the menu, click create new, and here's where we create our class. So we're going to call it Advanced Field Production Winter, and then here is where we connect our course. So we click the course button and we find the course that we set up in part 1. So now when we choose a course, everything that we set up in the course will come on over to the class. So all your equipment that you're certified in, all those things. Here's where we set up our instructor and assistant. This is pulled from the user table. Description and registration information, those are strictly text fields for your information, and that also show up in the RSS feed if you use that. The enrollment start and end date are very important. These determine when this class will show up on the class calendar for members. So this class will pop up on the class calendar at the enrollment start date, and it will pop off at the enrollment end date. So you can set up classes well ahead of time, and they will only come up on the calendar during those times. Schedule description, this is just again for your purposes and for the RSS feed. This isn't where you formally set up your class sessions, but this is just for information purposes. Capacity of the class, that's where you set up that. The cost of the class for members, and the cost for, if you have it, non-resident or non-member cost. Here's where you set up your payment options as they appear on the member site. So you can set it up so they have to pay online by pay online or check or both. So you can display it so the member has the ability to just sign up with check, not pay, or pay online. That means they have to sign up and pay online, or both, which means they can sign up without paying, or they can sign up and then pay with a credit card. After we've done all that, we click create and edit. And now we get to our other options for our class sessions, students, and reservations. So we'll start with our session. So now we're going to set up our sessions formally here. Going to click add session, and you'll see the calendar pop up, and you can choose from any date. And once you click on that date, it'll bring up the times. So then you can just click on the start time of the session and then drag down to the end time of the session. And you can move that around if you need to. In addition, you can modify that session, or you can just delete the session there. So for any class session that you have, most of the time you're going to need a reservation for that class, whether it's for a space in your studio, editing space, studio space, or things like camcorders, tripods. So you'll notice that this window looks exactly like any other reservation window that you would make for any other production. Here, the start and end dates are already filled in. Those are the session start and end dates. In the assign to, you can make this reservation for either the instructor or the assistant. So now we're just going to start picking some equipment. And like I said, it works exactly the same way as any other reservation. I can go to facilities and do the same thing. I can click request from all, and you'll see 4 reservations were added. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my session. I'm going to go back to my session because I'm going to duplicate this session. When I duplicate it, it's also going to duplicate those reservations that I just made along with the new sessions. So it's a huge time saver. You don't have to make reservations for every single session. You just make one session, make the reservations for that one session, and then duplicate that first session. So I'm going to click the duplicate session button. I'm going to put in the number of sessions that I want, and then the interval between the sessions. And so now all our sessions are duplicated. You can see 1, 2, 3 sessions, and all the reservations for those sessions are also duplicated. In the other reservations that you've made, the duplicated reservations, you have to check the status to make sure there are no conflicts. So now we're going to go to students. And now here's where we can add students and do other things. So I'm going to click add student, and I'm going to add a few students here from the user table. and I can add anyone I want to. Also keep in mind when a member signs up for a class, they will end up in this student area here. So you can continually check. And you can see if they've met prerequisites and if they've paid or not. So I'm just going to add a few more students here. And now you can see that I had 3 slots, but I have 1 more added. So that person is now waitlisted. They will be informed that they're waitlisted. They'll also be informed if there is a spot that opens up via email. So now I can click on all of them, and I can do several things here. I can set their status, whether they've dropped, whether it's an incomplete class, failed, waitlisted, and other options. I can also cancel the whole class from here and set that status. I can also email all my students, and I can also add other people to this email from the user list. A new option that we've added to the Rushare class page is the ability to take credit cards and pay for your classes right from this page. So you click the charge payment, you can see the student's information is already in there, the amount of the class. You just put in their credit card information and you're done. A great feature to engage and re-engage your members is the email prerequisite members. So what this will do is it'll email everyone who has taken the prerequisite of this class to invite them to take the more advanced class. It's a great way to re-engage your members, to get those people who've maybe just taken the basic classes and you haven't seen them in a while. So that's what we try to do in Rushare throughout with this feature and others. The duplicate feature is a great feature, again, a huge time saver to duplicate the entire class, including the sessions and the reservations, and duplicate it into another time. All you do is you just click the duplicate button, you rename your class, you put in your enrollment start date and your first class date of the new class, and Rushare will calculate everything else for you. It will calculate all the class sessions, all the reservations, and all you really need to do is change maybe some of the text fields that you put in there. And lastly, we have the cancel class feature. It will send out an email to all the students in the class saying that the class is canceled, and it will set the status of the class to canceled. So it will no longer show up in the main table unless you click on the drop down and you want to look specifically at canceled classes. And you can customize this email, and you can also add other people to the email from the user list, as you can in all the other email functions in Rushare. Thanks for joining us on this tutorial about how to create classes in courses part 2.